Hi there, I'm Janette Ayachi. Wonderful to be able to read for you and all at Paisley Book Festival. I have a tailored extract from my upcoming book Lonerlust and a few poems from my previous collection for you today, under the theme Quarantine Dreaming, which is so significant because the title of my chapter in Lonerlust is Quarantine Dream, Holmes the Lonely Hunter. I traffic in thoughts of extinction. The solo saber-toothed tiger, the solitary parrot, the last manatee ploughing the ocean in search of its mate, only to never find them, never to reach them. So the whole species dies out. I grip myself tightly before I fall to my knees. Try not to go down with the wreckage, with the hysteria, malaria, Ebola, hello yellow fever, starving Yemen children, refugees, disturbia, warfare, and every day we just went to the shop to buy our bread and complain the supermarket doesn't retail the best choices. In a city in Thailand that is now deserted, a whole reign of wild monkeys took over the street, rife with mischief, their tails tracing big commas around lampposts. They leapt from railings, looked at their reflections in empty shop windows, stuck their tongues out at themselves, skipped over pavements, and knocked their heads back, satisfied with embarking territory. Life's backdrop offered a whole new playground. Stay safe, we all chant to ourselves and each other. Clap, sing, cry at the slightest crease in the system and try to distract any impact away from our door. I think of Isaac Newton. Truth is the offspring of silence and meditation, he said, burrowed down in the capital of din during the plague, filling his books with research. I wish I had a motorbike. Even better, I wish I had a hot 20-something come pick me up on a motorbike, their hair unravelling from a helmet, glacial eyes giving me the side look, leather-clad, as slick as those carnival otters spotted cruising around no man's land right now. I'll take it. I'll take their hand. I am gasping for the thrill of vast, fast landscapes, wind in my hair. I want the elements to touch me, lean into me, become me. I want to be the highway and the sky before it crashes. We are worried about things that haven't happened to us yet. We have time. If you don't have time, save it for another time. Lockdown is an ascension, not a detention. I try to forget that I'm grounded but stay true to my introverted side that sits like a tight gold nugget in my pocket, protecting me from the world's clean abuse. Even as a kid, I was a climber. I would be away from home all day, roaming the streets of London, training abandoned buildings, rooftops, pylons, and secret spaces. Now, suddenly, with the death of travel, of excursion and exchange, we reached expiration of seeing what was beyond the parameters of confinement and breaching it. Air travel has ceased. So what about the sea? I wish I had a boat, an island. I miss the way this ocean feels against my skin, so much so because I have no idea for when I would feel it again. So, as a poet, a sickly child and a risk taker, I am comfortable with death. As poets, we carry death for other people, really stick our heads into it to reach some sort of semblance of beauty to the surface, to soothe eulogies for celebrities, elegies of grief. The light lasted only as long as we lit candles and dipped our nibs into ink each night in this desperate search for catharsis. Never despair, but if you do, work on in that despair, said Edmund Burke, and I'm trying. Life has become a mind trip, but if you do not create for the new world that emerges, you will not blend in, transport, teleport, break into the dimensional awareness of existence. This is an atypical liminal world, this limbo in waiting. Civilizations are not easily reduced to rubble. the Egyptians, Romans, a portal from one timeline to the next. We are teetering on the horizon line of one of Hiroshi Sakamoto's barren landscapes as new life threatens to begin. Whatever it is we send from one aloneness to another, there is union in the middle, a new kind of lonely. Just as we have been prepared for when things go down, we will have to be prepared for when things go up again too. The terror will reside, cures or placebos at least will release some of the tension and gates will open again. We are not the only ones pulled apart at the seams with longing. It eases the injustice, sharing the frustration with the collective. I'm ready to move into the next level, to go internal, bettering the self before the other takes precedent. I would rather be incarcerated and waiting than living and scoffing, slow soak, spicing the stew, the heart seeping in its own bloody vintage. Pizza and wine now, before the supplies turn to potato skins. Society shows its quick disenchantment with celebrity, and the grim reaper is busy at the moment. The Valkyries, pointing their fingers at the slain, carrion crows, queuing outside empty supermarkets. It was not death, for I stood up, and all the dead lie down. Where is our humanitarian magnificence? I eat the stars, they remain unaltered. The garden is bright, we are all healthy, hollow husks in walls lined up with spikes. The chronic Lonerlust deity inside is slowly wilting. Erosion, decay, things must die before our new, burgeoning reality. I am ready. Yet an external stable static can chew away at our internal instability. The body starts mirroring the planet under threat. It steadied well after capsize, but takes no breaks in the tandem of time, learns to crack codes, and sits with deeper meaning. Tourism economy dissipates. Huge safari parks breed cobwebs, vacant now from visitors. Animals in peril of their poachers. Fairgrounds creak empty. Waiters stare out at the sea, and guides on the anchor trail have no one to follow them. An airline company organizes a flight to nowhere, and the tickets sell out the first day. I write to G because he says he misses me. Let's do South America and ayahuasca huts and revelations and sunsets, Berlin and pop-up raves and ice pops and beating against strangers, or desert treks and pyramids collecting samples and market souvenirs and stolen kisses in Egypt, or free dive in caves in the marble quarry in Russia, take a train to St. Petersburg and eat with the locals and take turns to ask them questions, to meet more of the world with you one day, and all the tantric sex together under the stars. I dream it enough to make it surely manifest. I steer my conversation with my microcosm collective, soul tribe and dear friends, reminders of better times. But this year calls for a 2020 vision. Yes, lockdown sounds military, overbearers using prison language, a diabolical set of media clowns. But have you paid enough attention to your vivid quarantine dreams under COVID's scare? Or do you prefer to curse the elitist giants and swamp any cure as medical mafia instead? An infinity of other possibilities, proclaiming a ring of virologists as ventriloquists of the establishment. Which activity for you felt more fruitful? I met a writer in Iceland in January who spoke rehearsed lines from famous German philosophers. He told me he was angry that he was born because he never asked for it. He had never requested life in the first place. He simply couldn't see how life was a gift, a surprise, because of all his years sick with an unknown disease in India as a child. He spoke of lying in the bed where he could see all the doctor's hands touching him, probing him for truth, but that he couldn't feel their touch. He spent years in hospital on the verge of death, in totality, in suffering and torture, and he blamed his parents for that pain. Even though he had recovered and was living and dancing with friends in a nightclub in Reykjavik at that moment, blowing his mephitic breath to chat up a woman, but he still couldn't feel the snow on his skin as we went outside to smoke and rejoice in the baffle of each other's views from our songs of experience. As for G, I had always loved him, kept him in the background on some screensaver somewhere. He was always part of my future fantasy, and I always knew that I would be here on Boomerang Return. And now, after his first broken heart, we turned to heal each other, rupture and repair, to infuse tangibility to our quarantine dreams. We always kept in contact despite all odds and girlfriends, so when he said he was passing through the city, every layer of my skin opened up its tinderbox of sensations. And oh, the energy was electric. We touched. Everything I had harvested bowed down to be devoured. I wonder, can I ask your advice? How do you do it? How do you love when romantic love has only ever caused you pain? To fall in love again when the memory of love has only ever served you lashes?